Welcome to the Comedy Equation with the Powell brothers, where every episode begins with a joke. Here we go.
Hey, this is Frank Powell. Thanks for tuning in. The Comedy Equation. Today we're going to be interviewing Keith Souhrada. So let's see what he has for us.
Before I start my act tonight, I did want to take a second to get serious and talk about discrimination. In particular, there's this group that's faced rising discrimination for the last 10 years or so. It's gotten a lot worse for them since the last election. And the group I'm talking about is people who look like they voted for Donald Trump, but definitely didn't. You know what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, you do kind of look like JD Vance.
Yeah, it's a curse.
That was a good show. Yeah, I like the way, I mean, obviously, getting any political information out there is always controversial, but
Yeah.
there's so much material because the politicians are just like, they can get you material all day long. All you got to do is watch what's going on in the news.
It's yeah, it's tough. I remember reading somewhere they said, Donald Trump has actually made it worse for comics in some way because his actual reality is so much more esoteric or unreal that it's hard to almost make jokes about it. It's a lot easier to make jokes about like Bush puking on the Japanese prime minister or whatever. Yeah. I like the idea of talking about politics without actually being political, if that makes sense. I think that at least for me, that's the thing that works.
Of course.
I don't want, ultimately I'm an entertainer. I want to make sure everyone out there is having a good time, and I'm
Right.
not judgmental about everybody's political beliefs or anything else. I just want to make sure everyone laughs, and I feel like making it about myself and kind of about the silliness of the situation that's where I like to go with it. So
When you first started with your, getting the information, did you gravitate towards information you get politically, or?
Not really. It was essentially trial and error. Getting up on stage and just saying things that I thought were funny, and being surprised by the things that the audience thought were funny, because those were often they were the different things, right?
Right.
You talked about me looking like JD Vance. I had a whole different thing for a while, and I said it once just off the top of my head, and I got a huge laugh. I'm like, uh-oh, I guess I got to address this now. And then somebody later said, yeah, like, I was thinking it when you went on stage, but I didn't say anything, and then you said it, and then okay, all right, fine.
Right, that's good. It got you out of that. Politics is always iffy.
Yeah.
It can go either way. It could set the whole audience to go nuts. That's how divided everybody is. What we do need is comedians to come back out and to show both sides.
Yeah.
Both sides are ridiculous, and both sides have a lot of information that you can laugh about. I mean, either laugh or you cry. It's like almost depressing news. Like what's going on with our country, what's going on in the world. It's just like overwhelming. So comic release is good, but yeah, I think it's a gamble to go too far into politics just because it's so divided, right?
It is. If you've got a crowd that you think you can work with, go for it. But you're running a risk, right? But I also think that that's part of comedy is we sort of have that jester's privilege to talk about things that if you and I were sitting down and having a non-comedic podcast,
Right.
But if you're on stage and you're telling a joke, you can get away with a little bit more. So I do like the idea at least of taking chances. But you got to be funny, otherwise you're in a world of hurt. So.
Right. So you have a great sense of humor. Before you did comedy, did you tell yourself like, okay, I think I can get 5 minutes and go up there and make people laugh? And then compared to when you're actually on the stage and then you realize what you thought was funny, the crowd may not. How was that like? Did you ever experience that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of my earliest memories is in like an elementary school. We had a talent show, and I did a stand-up act. And essentially, I was just telling kid jokes on stage. I think for some reason I always wanted to do it. I loved comedy, but it just never was a thing that I thought I would actually do.
Right.
But, you lay awake and you go, if I ever got a few minutes, what would I? And I would sort of write my routine in my head. And then for some reason, about like 8-9 months ago, I was like, I'm actually going to give this a try and do it. And I got up the very first time, and it was like a train wreck. And I thought I'd been rehearsing this for years in my head. And it was really just through continuing to do it and finding what other people thought, because I think that's really what it was. It's finding the common link between what I think is funny and what other people think are funny.
Right. And you don't know until you go up on the stage and bomb.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. And like every time it's different too. There's a couple jokes that I can tell, or I know other comedians, I know they're always going to get a laugh on this joke or that joke. But there's so many times where, yesterday that thing got a big laugh and today there's nothing. And
Right.
when, especially for me starting out, my rhythm is based on, that the pause, waiting for the laughter. And when you don't get it, it can be a little disconcerting on stage. And that's the last thing you want. You want to feel comfortable and funny on stage. You don't want to feel like, oh shit.
When you first get to the venue, do you check out the audience and kind of get the vibe from them? Do you have that feeling, or you just go, I'm just going to wing and see? Sometimes I go to the comedy clubs and I could tell there's the energy of the group is huge and everyone's laughing. And sometimes you go and everyone's kind of quiet and just waiting. And it's like, okay, you don't know what kind of crowd you have.
It's tough. I thought I had a good handle on it, and I've been disabused of that recently. So do I check out the crowd? Yeah. What works for me even better is listening to some of the other comics, because San Diego, the comedy scene that we're in here, it's a smaller comedy scene, so I tend to know some of the other comics I'm working with, and I know how funny they are. If they're killing it, I'm like, okay, I think I got a good shot here. But if they're really working for the laughs, then I just start to pace around, and run through my act and go, what can I change? What can be different? But at the end of the day, it's you get on stage and you get into the zone and you just do it. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, the heat, the fire forges the steel, right?
Right.
You gotta go through some of that where you're just gonna eat shit on stage and just live with it. So
how do you get your material? Just whatever's binging in your head?
It really is. It's funny, like I would say probably my my number one writing partner is probably my wife, just because I'm always riffing with her.
Right.
And only recently now it's like we're having a good conversation and we're making each other laugh. I'm like, hang on a second, I gotta get the notepad and like write something down. So otherwise it's I'll start with a premise maybe of I think this is funny or I think this is interesting. And then I try to write a joke about it, and then I'll present it either in a class or like at an open mic, and you can usually tell if there's something there.
Right.
If there's a that's enough to at least there's something
Right.
about this is going to work, right? That sucked, but it's going to work at some point, and then it's just a process of tightening it up. Your listeners will notice I talk way too much. That's a bad habit I have, and I take forever to get to a punchline.
Why is that a bad habit to have as a comedian?
Because you take forever to get to the punchline.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, if you've only got 3 minutes, if you've got 5 minutes,
Right.
it takes a minute and a half to set up a bit.
Right.
People start looking at their watches. They're not used to that, right? But I feel like that's part of my process. I have to talk a lot to get to where it's funny, and then edit. And that's the part I don't like, but it's the part that works for me.
Who do you get feedback from in order, to get your material better? Do you talk to other comedians or?
Yeah, there's a couple of comedians that I work with. We do, we'll sit down and grab a coffee, and here's what I'm thinking, and usually when I write stuff out, it almost comes out like the Unabomber Manifesto. It's this like 10-page,
Right.
screed about whatever. And I'll read it, and they'll go, well, there's like 3 things in there, like 3 sentences that were funny. And I go, yeah, you know what? You're right. It used to make me upset. Like, no, but all of this other stuff is gold. They're like, there's like 3 things in there.
What about the other comedians that want your input? Do you ever, and they're lousy? How do you treat a person that has bad material that is just not clicking with you?
I'll say I don't know if I've met anybody who's actually lousy, but I will say I've met people whose sense of humor is completely different from mine, right? I think where I work best when I'm working as a partner writing comedy is I can punch it up a little bit. Instead of that punchline, how about this punchline? Versus, let's back up here. Your whole entire act is garbage. Like, I don't want to go that far down the road, but punching it up a little bit is I think where I can sprinkle a little seasoning on it versus try to like rebuild it. So
Do you ever, like when you're driving in your car, just look around to get material, or do you look at things a little bit different to try to get material? Like even being at a grocery store, the way people act or the way people drive, do you find yourself like obsessing over trying to get material for your show? Or is there a certain amount of time that you just block out to develop?
I'd say more of the second. When I first started writing, I really tried to look at the world and think of it comedically, but I found that actually shut off that faucet in my head that was giving me the funny ideas, because I was putting like pressure on myself to, okay, what's funny about this? What's funny about this? Instead, I kind of want to let it come to me as sort of like the muse, right?
Right.
But you're not going to get a whole lot of writing done if you just let it come to you. So you do have to sit down and write stuff out. So what I found is sometimes I'll just write 2 or 3 ideas, right?
Yeah, bullet points.
Yeah, a box of tools, or my kid's report card, just an idea, and then okay, I have to come up, even if it's a bad joke, I want one joke for each, and just make that the habit. That's sort of the thing I do, and then I'll try some of them out, and if they get a laugh, then okay, then that's the start of a new premise. Yeah.
What's the average time you get up on stage when you're doing this? Is it 3 to 5 minutes, or is it open until you walk off?
It's usually about 5. That's the average. I've done as much as I think I did 12 once. Sometimes it's as little as 3, but 5 is about the average.
What's your comfort zone?
5 to 8 is really my comfort zone. I can do 10, but what I'm doing then is going back to old material I wasn't happy with, and I haven't really finished it off yet. But if I got to fill time, I know I can get at least a laugh or 2 and stretch it out. Yeah.
What places do you like to work at the best in San Diego?
Well, I'm over at Comedy Heights quite a bit, and I really do like that crowd. It's a great mix, and you wind up seeing a couple of regulars there, which is good. You have a little rapport with some folks, and it's a fun room. But I've done it like at the Grand and a few other places. Tomorrow I'm doing Mic Drop for the first time, so I'll let you know how that goes. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what some of the other venues are like. But I've done like church basements and things, and it's all about the crowd that gets brought in, really more than the venue. So
What's the biggest crowd you played in front of so far?
probably over the National Comedy Theater. I think our last one we did 120 or so. So that's probably about the biggest crowd I've done.
How was that like?
It was great. It was a great energy. It was a fun night. The folks that I was on the bill with brought such an interesting mix of people in as an audience. We just had a great time, and the energy was just off the charts. I really enjoyed it.
So the first time you went up on stage, you said you didn't do so well, right?
Yeah.
You didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So that is either going to make you or break you. When you leave the stage, you're at home at night and you're thinking about what happened. Did you get fired up to do better, or did you get more like depressed, like this may not be my gig? Like, where was your mind at?
I think for about 10 seconds after I walked off stage, I was like, oh, maybe I made a huge mistake here
Right.
because this was not good. But I would sit there and watch the other comics, and I'd say, I know I could do this.
Right.
And frankly, I'm at a point in my life where I want to do something and be good at it for myself and enjoy it. So I'm willing to put in the work. Let me sign up for a class. Let me start talking to some of these comics and ask them about their process. And that's really been the key is everybody, I think, has that moment when they first go up on nobody goes up on stage and crushes the first time.
Right.
Everybody goes up and they eat shit, or they maybe get a chuckle and they come off stage shaking and they go, oh God, why did I even do that?
Right.
And that was the thing that helped me sort of center myself and go, okay, I know I can do this. I just have to figure out a way to continue to hone the craft, or at least, that sounds pretentious, to figure out how to make people laugh on stage is an entirely different thing than sitting around and just joking with your friends or whatever.
You have anyone who inspires you, like a pro comedian that you kind of look at and go, okay, that's a guy I can kind of copy. Not obviously not steal jokes, but
Yeah.
that's the person I can relate to. Is there anyone out there?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, ever since I was a kid, my folks were always really into comedy, and we had HBO at like a really like in the early
age.
80s when nobody had HBO. We had HBO, and a lot of it was my dad would tape those half-hour comedy specials, and I used to love watching all those, I'll say old comics, but the comics of that era,
Like
right?
Hilarious with Eddie Murphy. Remember when that first came
Yeah,
out?
Hilarious.
Right.
And I remember we used to watch Catch a Rising Star with like Sam Kinison and all those guys.
Oh, right.
And so early on, I was like, that's the kind of thing, I didn't realize that was even an option to do that as a job. And then as I got older, I found that I liked comics that either took risks or told interesting stories, right? So examples would be like Doug Stanhope he takes a lot of risks on stage.
Right.
He'll stake a position on something, or he'll tell it, he's got a story about helping his mother commit suicide, and it's hilarious, right? How could you make a story like that? But he
Hilarious.
does.
Right.
I'm intrigued by taking that idea of let's find something that's not funny and making it hilarious. And then somebody like a Mike Birbiglia, where it's more of a storytelling thing. I really do like I think for me, that's where my niche is. But you can't tell a story in 5 minutes on stage. You got to figure out how to be
That's
funny
true.
first, right?
So let's say you have an unlimited amount of time to give your performance. You have the material to land everything. How long you think you would need?
I mean, I'd love an hour. I think
Wow.
an
You could
hour
put-
would be
wow.
great. Yeah.
So you don't mind being on the stage for an hour?
No, I think that'd be awesome, especially if it was working, right? I mean, I'm not anywhere near an hour right now, but
Right.
I like the idea of taking the audience on a journey. Getting a lot of great laughs because it's a comedy show. It's not like a one man, but I'd also love to tell my story or, connect with the audience and learn a little bit about them and make it this shared experience. Those are the comedy shows that I've seen that I've enjoyed the most, and I'd like to do that as well. Yeah.
So you don't mind interacting with the live audience when you're out there?
I don't mind it. I'm not super comfortable with crowd work quite yet in terms of like having a conversation, but I feel like acknowledging the audience and having a little bit of back and forth with them is important because it brings everybody
Intimacy,
together,
right.
right? It's different when somebody's on stage and they're just sort of either they're performing, if that makes sense. And I think comedy is a conversation.
Well, it's weird that you said you've been thinking about comedy since you were a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That took that whole time when you realized I can make money doing this. Like this is a profession, and it really is a profession. These all the skills. I was going to ask you this.
To be fair, I also wanted to be an astronaut and a garbage truck
Yeah,
driver, right? Like
exactly,
I had a
yeah.
lot of dreams when I was a kid, but this was one that stuck with me. So
I think I really do believe you have a good stage presence. So let me ask you about the stage, because we're talking to other comedians that are just starting off, right? That's one of our the viewers are comedians that are taking this to the next level and trying
Yeah.
to make a career out of it. There's a thing people have which is called stage fright. They have all the material. They're good at their house. They're funny. Their family, their friends are telling us you got to go up on stage, but they have that thing called stage fright. Have you had that? And if so, how do you handle it? How do you handle that adrenaline rush to go up on a stage and have to speak normally when your pulse rate is 100 beats per minute?
yeah, I've had it. I think I've had practice in my life outside of comedy that's sort of worn away the edges on the stage fright, but I think it's impossible to never have stage fright. I think
Right.
you've got to be some sort of psychopath to just be like,
Right.
60 beats a minute. I'm never getting excited about anything. I think the challenge is remembering why you're there, first of all. And the second thing that I think is really helpful is it's like this, when you get on stage, the lights are bright.
Right.
And for me, that helps take away the audience for a moment where I can just be by myself on the stage and then take a breath, start the act, and then I get a laugh or two and like, okay, all right, slow down, calm down. But does that always work? No. Sometimes you run through something and you're going a mile a minute and you get off stage and you know, and you just go, okay, well, on to the next one.
What's the average time you find yourself having to pivot by your crowds not reacting to what you just sent out there? So you realize really in a split second, like, okay, they're not buying that. I got to pivot and start talking about this other subject. Have you been in that situation yet?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think something like that, when things don't go the way I want them to go on stage, I think it's important for me. It's important to acknowledge it, right? I go, whoa, okay, hang on a second. That didn't work, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
okay, you guys aren't into that kind of.
Right.
And sometimes that'll get you a laugh, even if it's like a pity laugh, but that's enough for me to then go into my little Rolodex and go, okay, what do I got that I think they might work? And then to go, all right, what do you guys think about this one, right? I think having that acknowledgement of, I'm up here trying something. If it's not working for you guys, we can talk about it and say, hey, this isn't working. What do you guys want to talk about, right? I think that's part of the idea of being an entertainer, right?
Right. You're part of the crowd. All the interviews I've seen with the people who are on the A list, the Chappelles, the Joe Rogan, they always talk about, playing in an arena is fine, makes money, but they all love to be in a smaller, tighter place like the Comedy Store or a mic drop where it's more intimate with the crowd. That's where they have the most pleasure. That's what they say when they're being interviewed. Do you feel the same, or would you feel more comfortable with 5,000 people around you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I haven't played Madison Square Garden yet, so I'll let you know. But I do like the idea of again, it's a different type of an art form than say music or theater, right? And there is something about you need to connect with that audience and have a conversation with them. And it's hard to do in a bigger space. I mean, even like
Right.
something like the comedy theater where it's, 100 and something seats, it can be tough because especially if you're a comedian that wants to interact with the crowd, you need to be able to hear people, you need to be able to hear their responses. You can't go, what?
Right.
The larger the venue, the harder it is to hear people, and then people want to shout things out and it gets a little chaotic. But a smaller space, the rules are a little different and you can hear people. It just works better, I think, for comedy.
Did you start off by saying, I am going to achieve arena status? Or did you start off your comedian moving forward that you're just going to try it? You're going to see what happens? Or did you go in full force? Like, I know I'm going to stick with this and I'm going to be in an arena one day.
No. I actually, a couple of years ago, I decided I was going to do something for myself. I was stuck in that, like, I go to work, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm doing that. But I felt like there was something more I wanted to do with my life. But I also knew that I couldn't like quit my job and go start like a soybean farm or something
Right.
like that, right? Like I have to work within the limitations that I'm happy with, but that I have to have on a daily basis. So what do I do? And I made a list of things. And the first thing I said was, I want to get my pilot's license. I've always wanted to fly a plane. So I went out and did that. First, what do they call it? The discovery flight. And I had so much fun. It was awesome. And then they sit you down and they go, great, we're so excited. Here's the syllabus. And then at the bottom, here's what it costs. And it was like $35,000. And I went, let's go find something that maybe is a little lower cost
Right.
of entry, right? And so the next thing on my list was stand-up comedy. And I did an open mic at the Grand up in Escondido. And it was a train wreck. But I was talking to like 4 drunk people in the audience, and they were comics that had bombed as well. Like it was like a therapy session more than an open mic. And I got off the stage and I was like, I actually kind of like that, even though I bombed. Like I liked the idea of getting on stage, but I got to figure this out. So I started doing a comedy class. Once I started doing the comedy class and I realized this was something I wanted to do, I knew I'm an old enough person now that I know I need to have some kind of goal in mind. Otherwise, I don't have a direction. And the only thing I could think of was I would love someday, I don't care if it's 1 minute, I want to get on stage at the Comedy Store in LA. Because
Wow.
that to me, I've been there a bunch. I love seeing comics
The
there.
Mecca.
Yeah, right? Like
Right.
I'd love to just at one point, just give me 30 seconds. I just want to get on stage, get one laugh at the Comedy Store. So that's the goal I'm working with now. But we'll see. Like
There is an equation. That's why we call it the comedy equation. So this whole thing's set up to help, highlight the people who are just starting off and follow them, along
Yeah.
the way and try to coach them and see what is needed to go to that next level. Because it's easy to make people laugh for some people in a regular crowd. It's easier for some people to make in front of a theater, but it's hard to get a contract and it's hard to make a living. It's
Yeah.
hard to get paid. So the whole equation is meaning, how do you get paid for this? And like, I guess you took Tony Calabresi's class?
I did, yeah. First of all, I'm going to second that. I'd love to get paid.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because when I first started taking Tony's class, he talked about the fact that he was, he works clean. He wants us to work clean. Obviously, we can do whatever we want when we're on stage, but that's sort of the guidance, right? And I initially chafed at that because people who know me in my regular life know that I don't censor myself, right? And I thought for sure I would be up there dropping, fuck this and that.
Right.
But for whatever reason, there's something inside of me that when I got on stage, it just naturally, I didn't want to do that.
Right.
A well-placed fuck or something every now and then can
Right.
get a good laugh, but you have to be like judicious about it. You don't want to, but like then you look at somebody like Pryor or Eddie Murphy and like,
Right.
they're killing it doing that. So it's just about what works for you and what works for the audience you're performing for. And it just so happens that the lane I'm in, where it's maybe cleaner and less confrontational, at least initially, it does lend itself to, oh, okay, I know I can book him because he's not going to get up on stage and
That's exactly
have
right.
somebody throw a chair at him or something, right?
Right, because it's a gamble to hire a comedian for a corporate event.
Yeah.
It really is, and most people just don't do it. They're going to go, no, I don't need a comedian to go up there and say something. Then I got to deal with the aftermath. But if
Yeah.
you have if you do have like a reel that shows you can be clean. You know the background of the audience that you're going to have. Whatever corporation, you have to figure out what their subculture is so you can make fun of them without offending. It's a big balance. But if you could get, I guess what Tony's teaching, if you can get that equation wired, then you're at that next level. Now you're getting paid, and then you can go up to the next level. But I agree, when you drop the F-bomb, it throws it off a little bit on most comedians. If they don't look like the kind of person that would drop an F-bomb, then you kind of wonder, oh, he just dropped the F-bomb. And then it takes you away for a second to what they're really talking about. It's almost like a distraction word.
Yeah.
So if you just don't use that, there's no distraction. It just goes right into the clean end punchline where you can draw a laugh. But that, you're right. You know, Eddie, Richard Pryor and all these old school guys, they were dropping bombs left and right. But it's almost like they were talking to their friends how they would talk on the street, and it's a natural dialogue. When it's not natural, it sounds weird.
Yeah. And I think you made a good point. I think if it comes off as performative, it doesn't land well, and it has to be naturalistic on stage, even though it's more or less a script that you're reading.
Right.
And for me, for whatever reason, there's hardly ever a good place to drop one in. However, it's like we have the whole box of crayons worth of colors to work with here. Like, we can color with all of them. So if it works, if it's the right space, the right time, it does. There is a place for it. But for me, I have a certain palette I work with, I guess, and it's the kind of thing that you don't realize you have until you start doing it. Getting back to our conversation earlier, like, when I imagined myself being a comic, I thought I was going to be talking about different things.
Right.
And then I get up on stage and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to talk about that stuff.
Right.
I actually want to talk about this stuff. So.
Do you ever run it by your wife because she has a good sense of humor too? Is she like your audience? Say, hey, what do you think about this? Would this land?
Oh yeah, yeah. She's. I trust her comic sensibilities. You know, she and I both. That's one of the things we've loved doing together. Is watching comedy specials, going to comedy shows when we could, and so I trust her judgment, even though she might have a different type of comedy that she likes. If she thinks it's funny, then I know it's funny. If she's like, I don't know, then I go, what do you know?
Right.
But I do in the back of my mind think, okay, if she thinks it's funny, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be funny. If you look at comedy, I think there's two parts of it. There's the craft and the art. The craft is, how do I get on stage for 3 to 5 minutes,
the
make
mechanics,
people laugh, come off stage, and people are like, hey, you were funny. That's the craft. And then the art is, and why are you doing that? Why are you going on stage? What do you have to say? I had to struggle with, for a while, wondering what I had to say that was worth anybody's time, right?
Right.
Somebody's paid $5 to sit and listen to people talk. What do I have to say that's worth $5 worth of somebody's time, right? And it really limited sort of where I wanted to go with what I wanted to talk about. After a while, though, I dip my toe in it. I'd say something personal on stage that was really important to me, and it went okay. And I'd get off and I go, I like doing that more than just setting up and set up, punchline, tag. How can I now start to weave these things together? And that's where I'm at right now on my comedy journey is I'm starting to introduce the topics that I want to talk about, but I still have that feeling of, okay, I need to get a laugh up front. I need to close with a laugh, but whatever I do in the middle, that's where I can maybe experiment. And so as time goes on, I'm trying to figure out, even on the beginning and the end, how do I make those jokes things that are meaningful and impactful to me too?
That's exactly what the title of the show is. It's the equation. So we're trying to figure out the proper equation. If you're going to figure out how to construct a building, and you have math, you have to figure out an equation. The loads and what's going to hold what and where to put the I-beams. And it's almost like you just broke it down. If you want to be a professional comedian, you have to have a plan. And you have to go, okay, I'm at point A. How do I get to point B?
There's a part we were talking about where I look like JD Vance. That actually came from somebody just saying, yelling out, you look like JD Vance at one of the things.
Right.
And it was like my second or third show I'd done. And I froze for a second. But the audience laughed. I'm like, all right, Okay, I guess.
You don't know how offensive that was. You just, I can't talk anymore.
Right, I
bastard.
know. Like, yeah. Oh God, if you think I look like JD Vance, my vibe,
Right,
this is
everything's
not
gone.
working. What I'm
Right,
trying to do. This is
right.
I'm doing the best with what God gave me, and this is
Right.
like I was going for Rip from like Yellowstone, and I'm looking like JD Vance, right? But I was like,
You're just missing the eyeliner.
yeah, right.
Does JD Vance wear eyeliner?
Yes.
He sure looks like it, doesn't he?
I haven't looked at him that close. That's weird.
But
I can see it. Like, imagine being right under Trump. That's your
First of
boss.
all, no, I refuse to imagine being right under Trump. No, thank you.
Imagine waking up going, I got to go meet with this guy.
Yeah.
What do I have to do today? Oh, shit. What's going on?
I got a dentist appointment. I
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Can't make it.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we going to do now, Robert? The man in the back? Because I heard like a chime go off or something.
Come on, Robert. What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is the rapid fire question.
Ooh, I like
Okay.
rapid fire.
All right. So
remember to look at the camera.
okay, now we're gonna break the fourth wall here.
Yeah, we're going to break the fourth wall.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Okay. What's the best recovery after a bad joke?
I think it's just acknowledging it. I think that's the key. If you say nothing and you don't acknowledge it, then everyone goes, "What is this? You know, this is awkward now for the
Right.
audience." But if you go, "Oh man, that sucked. Let's try a different one," and then everyone go, "Yeah, it did suck. Let's laugh at the fact that it sucked." And even if they don't laugh, it gives you a second or two to find something maybe in your mind that you think will work. So,
Have you ever laughed at your own joke on stage?
yeah. I find that for me, I find myself being self-conscious when I laugh at myself. But then I watch other comics, and when they laugh at themselves, it almost gives the audience permission to laugh too.
Right.
But when I do it, for some reason, it bothers me. So I have to get over that. I think it's part of doing it and being connected to the audience is okay. Let's acknowledge this is funny, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a joke of one that you've laughed at recently on stage?
So, all right, the set. Okay, here. This is rapid fire, right?
Yeah.
I have a joke about being suicidal, and it's sort of the inverse. I have a joke that never works, but I love it so much I laugh every time I tell it that I keep telling it. And now on stage, I'll say the joke. It doesn't get a laugh, and then I'll say, "I tell this joke every night. It never works, but it cracks me up, so I keep telling it, and then that gets a laugh." So, yeah.
What is it?
Okay, so talking about being suicidal, and I've had suicidal thoughts, but I don't think I'm ever going to do it. And I think part of it is because of the type of person I am. Like I'm the type of person like I can't go to bed at night and knowing that there's still dirty dishes in the sink. Like I can't rest knowing that I'm just going to leave a mess for somebody else to clean up. See, there you go. Nobody ever laughs, but I think that's funny.
You know why? Because when you said the first part, I was automatically thinking about my wife.
Oh, I love the crickets. That's
The
great.
crickets.
I've got a soundboard here.
Because she's like that. She can't go to bed if she has to make sure everything's clean before she goes to bed.
That's how I
And
am.
if she doesn't do it, I got to make sure I go over there and make sure because when she wakes up, she wants to see a clean environment, or else it doesn't work. The fuses start to go off.
Yeah. So if I'm going to settle down for the big sleep, right? I can't. Yeah, that's just not. Who I
Okay,
am.
sorry. Rapid fire. Continue.
Rapid fire.
In your world, is social media helping or hurting your comedy?
I would say it's helping under protest, at least for me. I got Facebook in I think like 2009, and I think at that point I was like, this is it for me. I'm done. I'll post pictures of the dog or my kid, and then that's it.
Right.
And I started doing this, and after 3 or 4 shows, somebody said, "You don't have an Instagram. I need to have an Instagram so I can plug you on the." So under protest, I started an Instagram, and I started getting connected with the comics and shows, and I do see that it is helping to build my what's the corporate lizard people speak, build my brand
Portfolio?
Yeah,
Brand?
yeah, it's helping to give me wider exposure. And now I make a habit whenever I perform with a comic, I get their Instagram, I connect with them. I feel like there is a community aspect to comedy, and I like that. And a lot of it seems to have migrated online. So I'm grateful that it's there for that. But every step of the way, I grit my teeth and I drag my feet. So
Those are the part of things that you didn't realize were going to be part of the comedy, and now you
know.
have to do it. You got to be a social.
I gotta get like an
Social
audio
media
visual
buff.
certificate and video. I took a video editing class online and social media
that's-
and all of this other stuff. I'm like, I just want to tell jokes.
Right.
But it's like anything else, right? Any other job you have, you wind up doing
Absolutely.
3 or 4 other jobs to
Right.
do the job you're doing.
Multitask.
So, yeah.
Best comedian alive right now.
Stanhope. I love that's strictly personal, but I just love he'll walk so far out on a branch and land the plane most of the time. But I just appreciate him for doing what he does and taking his chances. So
What's your favorite snack after a show?
I can't eat
A
after a
joint?
show. I can't eat. I like feeling hungry going on stage, and then once I'm off stage, I'm so amped I can't eat. So I'll say Taco Bell for lunch the day I'm performing. I don't do anything afterwards though.
Should say mushrooms.
A good
Maybe your
shiitake or
A good snack before the show, magic mushrooms.
right? I mean, it's funny. When I was younger, I mean, not everybody who's gone to college or whatever, we have our fun, right?
Right.
But as I get older, I hadn't done anything for a while, and then I wound up smoking pot last summer, and it turns out the DARE program didn't lie to me. This stuff is much stronger.
Oh yeah.
And I took like one puff from this like vape pen, and I was talking to the reptilian overlords. Like, I don't know how I know comics that will be stoned or drunk and go on. I could never ever do
Right.
that. If I have more than a glass of wine, I'm like, I'm ready for bed, and I can't do. I don't know how people do it, but they do it.
Right. Yeah.
Rapid fire. Here we go.
Favorite comedy movie?
I love the Monty Python stuff. When I was a kid, that was really formative to me.
Run away!
Yeah, exactly. Right. What I loved about them is that I was a pretentious, snotty know-it-all as a kid.
I
But-
spit in your general direction.
But I loved the idea of being a smart ass. I loved that they would have a whole setup about, medieval England or, something that was not the typical guy walks into
So
a
fun.
grocery store or
Yeah.
whatever, but making that funny. And that really resonated with me as a kid. So anything Monty Python.
Like Benny Hill.
Yeah, Benny
Remember
Hill.
him, right?
I remember Benny. I remember.
Right.
Yeah, well, we all watched. I think you're probably the same age or close to it. And
No,
for me,
I'm way older than you. But
watching
go ahead.
PBS
Very
late at
old.
night, and they do like Monty Python, Benny Hill,
Yeah, all
like
the
all of the
time.
British
Dun,
comedians.
dun, 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 dun,
Loved
dun,
that
dun,
stuff.
dun. Yeah,
Now, Benny
chasing
Hill
each
was
other.
not highbrow, but yeah, I loved all
But
that stuff. Yeah,
I loved him because he didn't like. If you just look at him, the character, you just go, he looks like a funny looking guy.
yeah.
But he was so good, so talented in so many different skits.
I thought
It's
when I
probably
was
why I had his own show.
comedy legend. Who knew?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, he looked like Captain for a while, I thought he was Captain Kangaroo, and it took me not too long, but it took me a little while to figure out. Oh, this is a different person because
You're right. He did look like Captain Kangaroo.
Right,
I remember
right.
that guy.
And I found him
You are
just
old
as I was
school.
transitioning out of Captain
Yeah.
Kangaroo. Right? Yeah, I'm gonna be like 50 next year. I'm not like
wow.
super. Yeah, I'm not like super young, right? So I
I
was
think
of
you're
that
more
age.
my
where-
age than his age.
Okay.
Yeah, you look like you're in your early 40s. Maybe you can even pull off, 40.
You're very kind, but no, yeah, I'm gonna be old. And so when I was a kid, I was just as I started to discover Benny Hill was about the time that I was transitioning out of that Captain, and I was like, wait a minute, is this like Captain Kangaroo After Hours or something
Right.
here? What is this?
Right.
And it took me, a little while to figure out, oh, this is a entirely different person in a different country. So, okay.
What's one thing audiences don't understand about comedians?
That's a good, probably
They're all
that.
suicidal.
Yeah, right.
Dark side.
I think it's, even if you look at, and I'm going to make some assumptions here, but I don't think any comedian has it figured out, if that makes sense. Every time they go on stage, even if they're in Madison Square Garden and it's their, the fifth night of their booking at Madison, there's still a part of them that's like, I hope this works.
Right.
I'm not like,
Living
I don't know
on the
why
edge.
this is working. I hope this works. I don't think, and that's something that before I did comedy, I think I felt like some of these people, when I'd see them on stage, like, they know what they're doing. They've got it figured out. I don't feel that way anymore. I think everybody's trying to make it up as they go along, even if they're booking arenas.
Of course, because everything changes. There's just too many variables.
As kind of a tie into that, biggest lesson comedy has taught you?
Humility, for sure, 100%. That's a lesson that sadly I've had to learn over and over and over again my whole life. But absolutely humility. It's one thing to be funny, and it's another thing to be funny on stage.
100%.
And intellectually I knew that, but the knowing and the doing are two different things. Who can live in this world in this day and age? Just get up in the morning and go, I put my pants on, I go to work, and then I come home, and like you cannot interact with this world and not come away from it being like, this is some weird shit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. After you do
what
it
are we doing here?
right.
You know?
Especially when you get older, you go, I've been doing this shit for 30 years, and what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What's the end game?
Yeah.
You know, so just have fun and laugh, because when you're too serious in life, I mean, it's just a shitty way to live.
All right, Frank, last question. You got it.
My last question is, I think you're doing really well right now.
Okay.
Just, I'm not here to evaluate you, but I'm going to. But where could the audience see you? Because I do like your stage presence. I like the fact that you don't mind, the JD Vance thing, and you're okay with going political.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of material there. How could someone get a hold of you? Like, what are your handles?
So
you said you had Instagram?
I do have Instagram. My Instagram is Keith is a pleasure to have in class. Oh, here we go. Okay. Hey, everybody. Keith is a pleasure to have in class is my Instagram. Same on TikTok. And that's where I post all of my show dates. And you can probably catch me fairly regularly at Comedy Heights. I'm trying to work into other stuff. I've got a couple of the shows I do around town, and just go over to Instagram and you can find out where I'm going to be.
All right. I'd like to tell everyone out there, if you think you have a story to tell, go to theComedyEquation.com, fill out the form and send them in. We'll put you on here and see what you can do. We do follow talent that we like, that starts at point A and we know it's going to go to point Z or whatever. So it's fun to watch them when they first start. Anyone can watch a comedian that's already taken it. But someone like you, I like to watch you because you're developing, changing a little bit, tweaking. And, help support him. Go on his handle and watch him where do you play now? The mic drop?
I'll be at mic drop tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow is going to be weird because we edit this and this is
Come
going to
on,
come out.
guys.
Right, exactly.
You got to turn these things around
This is not
faster.
a 1 hour flip.
I came here to plug some stuff.
They're
Come
going
on.
to probably pull out all that suicidal shit. He'll edit it out.
I guarantee that.
Right?
Yeah. We got to take out all that dark shit.
But yeah, I'm at Comedy Heights fairly regularly. Catch me at the National Comedy Theater. But honestly, just seriously go to my Instagram, and I post all my shows there, and you'll know where to find me. So
it was a real pleasure talking to you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
in
I
so
appreciate
much.
it. Yeah.
And thanks for tuning in to The Comedy Equation. We'll see you next time.
And that right there is The Comedy Equation. Full episodes on YouTube.